Hello and welcome to class today. Today we will be setting up historical event graphic organizers. I'm going to walk you through the first one that you're going to work on, and it's on the Pig War. So, how many of you have ever heard of the saying, it all started with a mouse? Well, if you know what I'm talking about, that relates to Walt Disney and Mickey Mouse. So like that, one little mouse led to this huge multi-billion-dollar company. We have this big conflict in Washington state, territory, called the Pig War. And it all started with a pig. To set some background, Washington needed to break away from Oregon. For the many years, Washington and all the settlers coming to this area were really settling in the territory of Oregon. They were coming because of the belief of manifest destiny. They were hoping to spread their values, their religious values, their political values throughout the whole continent. On top of coming for the land, coming for business, and or to start a new life. But if you think about it, it takes 3 hours to get from here in Federal Way to Portland. And Portland's just inside Oregon. Oregon Territory included present-day Oregon, Washington, Idaho, parts of Montana, and Wyoming. That's a lot of land. So, could you imagine having to travel without car, so by horse and carriage, to get into Oregon and get to that government? The people in Washington had enough. Everyone north of the Columbia River wanted a new government of their own that they had more local control over. So in 1853, the Organic Act is passed. This act pretty much develops Oregon as it is today, and Washington Territory is developed. Washington Territory includes Washington, Oregon, Idaho, parts of Wyoming, and parts of Montana. So that's a little bit of Washington becoming a territory. But shortly after, just a couple years after this 1853 Organic Act, we have some issues arise. So who's involved in this thing called a pig war? Was there really a pig? Well, it all is between the British and the United States. Until 1846, both Britain and the United States had claim to the Oregon-Washington area. But in 1846, as a result of a treaty, everything south of the 49th parallel, present-day Canadian border, belongs to the United States. Everything north of it, the United States agreed to give to Britain. However, it left one thing unclear: what to do with the San Juan Islands. So, we have this war, no shots fired, but a war from 1859 to 1871. And I had already mentioned the where. It's in the present-day San Juan Islands. But why is it a pig? Why are the pigs involved, and why was there a pig war? So the first thing I want you to think about, how would you respond if you left your entire life savings, say it's $10,000, laying in your house? You didn't have access to a bank, so you couldn't store it there. And for some reason, it wasn't locked away in a safe spot. Now imagine this. Your neighbor's dog comes into your house. It escapes their yard. It's hyper. And it eats all the money. How are you going to respond? Well, that relates to what happens here. So, this pig war starts because it's not clear who owns the San Juan Islands. There's both Americans and British living there. And there's no clear answer after the 1846 treaty. So what happened was a British person living on the island, his pig gets out of his pen and goes onto the Americans' land. This pig destroys the potato patch of the American. American gets mad because there is no grocery stores that this guy can go to get his food. This pig just destroyed and cost this American food for him and his family and possible income if he could go around and sell that. How does he respond? He shoots the pig. The British man gets mad because now the American has taken the life of one of his pigs, who is his food. You gotta remember, food at this time, all the work grown on the farm, the animals raised, all of that is their money in many ways, as they provide for themselves, and if these supplies are taken away, they don't have the money anymore. So how does this develop into a 12-year fight over this one-shot pig? That's kind of weird. So, because it's not clear who owns the land, militaries get involved. Americans send 66 soldiers to the island, into the area. Okay, not much land. You'd think, okay, maybe the British will just give it over and just give it to the Americans. It's not worth risking lives. No, British respond. They send 3 warships. They bring these big ships to the island, point their cannons, and they're ready to attack if necessary. Later on, it will add up to 5. As a result of all this military maneuvering, Americans go to one end of the island, British go to the other end of the island, and they just kind of wait it out. They stay there, not a lot happens, nobody's shot, nobody's killed. We're just waiting for somebody to make a move, waiting for somebody to make a mistake. So why, okay, a pig died, who cares? Why would this be important to Washington, and how does it help Washington become a state? Well, as a result of this conflict, it's going on and on. 12 years later, a German mediator helps negotiate an agreement. Negotiate, vocab word, circle it. This negotiator, or mediator, decides, after going through the treaties, after going through other agreements, this island belongs to the U.S. So, that pretty much settles the argument. The British leave the island, they pull their military off, they go their own way. Americans go their own way, it's their island now. So, while this doesn't drastically change the border of Washington Territory, it does grow it by one island and helps develop and get the understanding that this is an area, constant change, will change for many years until Washington becomes a state and gets its present day borders. But this is one of the first little but important and significant changes to the territory. As you go through the rest of the period today, what you'll be doing is a same type of item of these charts: the who, the when, the where, the why, the how, and significance, with your other 8 topics on your study guide. If you look on the sideboard, you'll notice the who, the when, the where. It's a skinnier column. There's not a lot of information you're going to need in them. You're going to work your hardest. If something you're just stuck on, you'll skip it. You'll write a question down so you remember to ask me when I come back, and you'll show it to me. The why, the how, and the significance. This is the meat of the information you're getting. It's very important that you try to fit in the vocab words to help describe the why, the how, and the significance of every event that you can. I recommend, if a vocab word comes up to help you describe the event, underline it, highlight it in a different color so it stands out. Because remember, when it comes test time, one of the two standards that you're being tested on is, can you use this vocab to describe a historical event? Without using your 13 vocab words on the little whiteboard, your descriptions won't be as strong, will not be adequate in order to show that connection of I understand the vocab and I can pass the test. If there's any very, very important questions that have to be answered before you leave to do your homework tonight, I will be in the office throughout the day. You can come by, ask a quick question if it's a time where I can step out for a moment. If not, work your hardest, get this done for Friday so we can discuss a little bit of it and we can finish up. Very minimum, you need to have at least 5 to 6 done of the 9, including the pig war, when I come back on Friday. I will see you on Friday. I hope you have a good day. Goodbye.